The little girl smiled for the first time in weeks. And the millionaire sitting quietly in the corner nearly dropped the coffee cup from his hand. He had spent years building a business empire worth millions of dollars. He had solved problems that seemed impossible. He had negotiated deals across continents and managed thousands of employees. But he could not make his daughter smile. Yet somehow, a waitress earning barely enough to pay her rent had done it in less than 10 minutes. That moment would change two lives forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can change a person's destiny and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Lifeline Corner for more emotional and inspiring stories. The bright morning sun poured through the large windows of a small family restaurant on the edge of town. The diner was busy with customers enjoying breakfast before work. Plates clattered softly. Coffee machines hummed. The smell of fresh pancakes filled the air. At a corner table sat Grayson Hale, a wealthy entrepreneur known throughout the city. His expensive suit and luxury watch attracted attention everywhere he went, but today he wished nobody would notice him. Across from him sat his 8-year-old daughter, Marin. Marin was the center of his world. She was also the reason he barely slept at night. 3 years earlier, a tragic car accident had taken the life of his wife, Serena. Marin survived, but severe injuries left her partially paralyzed. She now depended on a wheelchair and required constant care. The accident shattered Grayson's life. Money had provided access to the best doctors, therapists, and specialists in the country. Yet despite all the treatment, something inside Marin seemed permanently broken. She rarely smiled. She rarely laughed. Most days she barely spoke. The cheerful little girl who once danced around the house had disappeared. And Grayson blamed himself every single day. That morning was no different. He had brought Marin to the diner hoping a change of scenery might help her mood. Instead, she sat quietly staring at her untouched breakfast. Pancakes, fruit, and juice remained exactly where the waiter had placed them 20 minutes earlier. Grayson felt the familiar ache in his chest. He tried everything. Nothing worked. Then he noticed a young waitress approaching their table. Her name tag read Talia. She looked to be in her late 20s. Her uniform was simple and slightly worn. Dark circles beneath her eyes suggested she wasn't getting enough sleep. Yet her face carried a warmth that immediately stood out. Unlike others, she didn't stare at Marin's wheelchair. She smiled naturally. She knelt beside the table until she was at eye level with the little girl. For several moments she simply sat there. No pressure. No pity. No uncomfortable sympathy. Just quiet understanding. Then something unexpected happened. Marin looked up. Really looked up. For the first time that morning. Grayson watched carefully. Talia pointed playfully toward the pancakes and made an exaggerated expression of surprise, as though they were the most important pancakes ever created. A tiny smile appeared on Marin's face. It was small. Barely noticeable. But it was there. Grayson's heart stopped. Over the next few minutes, Talia somehow convinced Marin to take a bite. Then another. Soon the little girl was eating while giggling softly. The sound of her laughter echoed through the diner. Grayson felt tears threatening to form. He hadn't heard that sound in weeks. As he watched, he realized something remarkable. Talia wasn't trying to fix Marin. She wasn't treating her like a problem. She was treating her like a child. A child deserving joy. A child deserving dignity. A child deserving friendship. When breakfast ended, Grayson called Talia over and thanked her. She smiled modestly and returned to work. But Grayson couldn't stop thinking about her. Over the following weeks, he and Marin returned regularly. Each visit produced the same result. Marin laughed. Marin smiled. Marin talked. The transformation wasn't dramatic, but it was real. Little by little, pieces of the old Marin began returning. Grayson became curious about the woman responsible. One afternoon, after noticing Talia working an unusually long shift, he quietly asked the restaurant owner about her. What he learned shocked him. Talia's life was far from easy. She worked 2 jobs. She often started before sunrise and finished long after dark. She lived in a tiny apartment with her younger brother, whom she had raised since their parents passed away years earlier. Every dollar she earned went toward rent, food, and helping her brother attend college. She never complained. Never asked for help. Never expected sympathy. She simply kept moving forward. Grayson found himself deeply moved. Most people who met him wanted something. An investment. A favor. A business opportunity. Talia never asked for anything. She didn't even know who he was. To her, he wasn't a millionaire. He was simply a father with a struggling daughter. That realization stayed with him. Several days later, another event changed everything. Grayson arrived at the diner earlier than usual. As he entered, he noticed something unusual near the back entrance. Talia sat alone on a crate, reading from a worn textbook. Between serving customers, she was studying. When she returned inside, Grayson discreetly asked another employee about it. The answer stunned him. Talia had always dreamed of becoming a pediatric physical therapist. Years earlier, she had been accepted into a university program. But after her parents died, she sacrificed her education to support her younger brother. She never went back. The dream remained unfinished. That evening, Grayson couldn't stop thinking about her story. He thought about the sacrifices she had made. The opportunities she had lost. The way she had helped Marin without expecting recognition. Most importantly, he thought about the kindness she gave freely despite carrying burdens of her own. Few people possessed that kind of heart. Weeks passed. Then came a day Grayson would never forget. Marin had a difficult therapy session and arrived at the diner exhausted and upset. She refused to speak. Refused to eat. Refused to make eye contact. Grayson feared they were slipping backward. Talia noticed immediately. Instead of forcing conversation, she quietly sat beside Marin with a coloring book she kept for young customers. For nearly an hour they colored together. No pressure. No expectations. Just companionship. By the time they finished, Marin was smiling again. Then the little girl said something that nearly broke Grayson. She told her father that Talia made her feel normal. Not sick. Not broken. Normal. Grayson excused himself and walked outside. For several minutes he stood alone fighting tears. Because deep down, he knew his daughter was right. Talia saw Marin as a person first. Not a disability. Not a tragedy. A person. That night, Grayson made a decision. The next morning, his legal team received instructions. His education foundation would create a scholarship program. The first recipient would be Talia. Not because she needed charity. Because she had earned an opportunity. A week later, Grayson invited Talia to meet him after her shift. She arrived nervous and confused. When he explained the scholarship, she was speechless. The program would pay her tuition. Her books. Her transportation. Everything required to complete her education and pursue her dream career. For a moment she simply stared at him. Then tears filled her eyes. Years of sacrifice. Years of postponed dreams. Years of putting everyone else first. Suddenly, a door she thought had closed forever was opening again. But what happened next surprised Grayson even more. Instead of immediately accepting, Talia asked whether the scholarship could somehow continue helping other students after she graduated. Even in that moment, she was thinking about others. Grayson smiled. That answer confirmed everything he already believed about her character. The scholarship would become permanent. Future students facing similar hardships would benefit as well. Talia wasn't just changing her own future anymore. She was helping shape countless others. Months passed. The transformation was extraordinary. Talia enrolled in school. Her confidence grew. Her future brightened. Meanwhile, Marin continued improving emotionally. She looked forward to every visit. She participated more actively in therapy. She laughed more often. Hope slowly returned to the Hale household. Then came the day of Talia's first major academic achievement. She invited Grayson and Marin to attend a university ceremony recognizing top students. When her name was announced, the audience erupted into applause. Grayson looked toward Marin. The little girl was cheering louder than anyone. In that moment, he understood something profound. Success wasn't always measured in money. Sometimes it was measured in lives touched. In kindness shared. In hope restored. Years later, Talia became exactly what she had dreamed of becoming. A pediatric physical therapist. She dedicated her career to helping children facing challenges similar to Marin's. Families loved her. Children trusted her. And countless young patients found strength because someone believed in them. Just as she had once believed in a lonely little girl sitting silently in a diner. The ripple effects continued spreading. One act of compassion had created opportunities, healing, and hope far beyond what anyone could have imagined. Grayson often reflected on that first morning in the restaurant. The morning a waitress knelt beside a struggling child and offered something money could never buy. Genuine kindness. The kind that changes hearts. The kind that changes futures. The kind that changes lives forever. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in the power of compassion, and subscribe to Lifeline Corner for more inspiring stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be. Special request: comment below with the words, "Kindness changes lives," if you believe one small act of compassion can create a lifetime of hope. Because sometimes the person who changes your life isn't a celebrity, a billionaire, or a hero from a movie. Sometimes it's a tired waitress carrying her own struggles, who chooses to be kind when nobody is watching. And sometimes, that single act of kindness becomes the beginning of a miracle. The end.